Welcome to the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with the support you need to finish your book. Best part is, after you finish your book, they take care of the entire publishing and marketing process 100% for you. So, if you want to become a successful author, make sure to check out authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Jennifer George with us. She is an award-winning marketer with a passion for innovation, building out big ideas, leveraging digital partnerships, and creative storytelling. So welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you, Tyler, for having me. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate your time today.
Of course, and we appreciate you coming here and joining us. So the first one I got for you, Jennifer, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
That's interesting. I have a lot of stories. It's actually one of the things I always tell my friends, my colleagues, is, hey, listen to my latest story. So I had to dig deep on this. But I think as a whole, what my most resonating story for my life path started early in my life. I grew up in a family that unfortunately decided to choose sides on which children would get supported and at what level. I ended up on the short side of the stick, not getting a lot of things, really provided to me that others were given. I left my household around, 19 and kind of struck out on my own. I paid for college on my own and got all the first cars and all that stuff, everything. I kind of went through the process of scrapping all my money and pennies together to kind of build that world out for myself. And I saw it happening on the opposite side of my family, just, other folks getting a lot better treatment, a lot more things provided. And I think that perspective to me probably could have, taken two directions, right? Either one that you're more, bitter and upset that you didn't get the golden ticket, or you choose to build it yourself. And I chose, I think, early on to kind of address it as a challenge in my life is I will succeed regardless of the fact that I might not have the support I need now. I will build that into my ecosystem. And I think that is a driver today. I'm very quick to understand and analyze environments, but also I don't think anything's impossible. I think that almost everything is possible. It just depends on your perspective. And that key learning, I think, early in my life of having to kind of build your own world regardless of your support system has been really important and how I perceived kind of my current situation.
And then what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
I really feel today's world is all about segmentation. I'm asked this question a lot, what's the most important thing I should be working on? And I really feel it comes down to you've got to understand your customers. You need to understand what they're doing, their buying behaviors, their segment, and create those tools to really market to them well. And that, I think, is so important today within my industry, which tends to be healthcare or health tech. So I feel like that's a big, big takeaway.
And then what is your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
I really believe that you can't be afraid to go into vertical markets that you haven't been in before. So we see this hyper blending of tech and healthcare, but it's the same thing as analytics and moving it over into all parts or all walks of life. And even as a professional, if I've been involved in XYZ industry for 15 years, does that mean I can't go into another industry? No, it doesn't mean that. It just depends on how you want to, kind of put and position yourself. So I feel you can't be afraid of, and I really believe that you can't be afraid of taking on those risks in adjacent markets or vertical spaces.
And then if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
There's so much advice I would probably give. Probably it comes down to more of a recent lesson for me, which is, this journey of chasing titles. I think we're often asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What title you want to get to? What level do you want to get to? And in reality, that's just not a great thing to chase. I think chasing experiences, learning opportunities, where you can grow is a lot more important than saying, I'm going to chase a title and then I'm going to get to a place in a year and I'll be really kind of taking a strong look at whether or not that made sense, because you have to give up a lot along the journey if you are really chasing some of those areas. And I think there's a reason why you see a limitation to certain genders, certain ethnicities, even in the upper echelon, because there's just so much risk. And without support, it's difficult, I think, to stay the course. So the chasing of titles, I think in particular, is a big lesson to learn.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
I think it really does come down to balance. There's 3 parts of life, right? There's your work life, there's your home life, there's your community life. And I think as humans, we need to have a balance to that. We see oftentimes someone goes to the other side where their entire life is work, and that leaves them in a place where it's a little void. So part of what I do also is giving back to my community. I have a group called Once Upon a Garden, which supports the local schools, local public schools, and we do garden education. I do that in my spare time. Because I really feel it's important to have a balance to work as well as balance to my home and my community.
And then what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
I really love the book called Grit, which was created by Angela Duckworth. She's out of Wharton. She's probably one of my favorite writers right now. And I think part of what Grit tells you is, the value of staying the course, even if you weren't provided with all these gifts up front, or you weren't this token person who had all the smarts. Can you learn something, and can you be better than somebody who maybe had those gifts innately? And she addresses that question, which is really about a grittiness and the ability to really stay the course to be successful. And she puts it into a scientific kind of mode or method of understanding, where a person can succeed. And I really loved that book, I think, because of the way that she looked at this from her perspective.
And then what is your favorite quote and why?
One of my favorite quotes is really going back old school, I feel, but it's from John F. Kennedy. And, many years ago, he said, we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it is hard, and because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, and because that challenge is one we're willing to accept, and we must not postpone, and we need to win. And I love that, I think, because on a daily basis, what I do is really mission work. You're placed in a position where, things haven't been done the way they've been done before, or somebody's asking to go into a completely new market. I've never been there, or you're really trying to build something out from zero. And that's all about mission work. And I don't believe, again, in the answer of no. I believe in yes. And he, I think, paraphrased it so well. It's why not go to the moon? We do it because it's hard, and those are things we're going to learn along our journey. I feel like that really resonates with my perspective.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on, Jennifer. The last one I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
I do have a website, a portfolio site called jgmmc.com, but I'm also on LinkedIn, and they certainly are welcome to reach out to me there.
Perfect. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate the time today.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app. Free for iOS and Android.